All right, welcome everyone. This is Friday Group Coaching and Mastermind. I'm Kathy Delamia with Quality Coach Kathy. We're here every Friday doing tapping into wealth processes with other fantastic people, clients, tapping into wealth coaches. And it is my great pleasure to be here with Wendy, my steadfast co-host and expert coach, as well as Kay Walker, just a dear soul and support to Margaret Lynch directly. And Leona, you're back again, which we're just so delighted you guys are anchoring this experience with and for us and the people who will also benefit from this kind of work. So we'll do some introductions and then we'll settle in with some deep breathing. And then we'll take on our process for the day. We're doing the vow of perfection, which one of the things that happens when you stir up a particular area, you start noticing it more. So that's definitely happened for me in the last little while about this particular vow. So I'm excited to see what happens. All right. So let's do some introductions. Wendy, I know you in my heart and my mind, but I think people want to know more about your business and maybe who you're trying to serve and what you do with your time.
So thanks, Kathy. That's great to hear because I wanted to be a little bit more seen and heard. And so in my business, I'm definitely using these tapping into wealth coaching processes. One of the things that I'm doing is really focusing on people that maybe are struggling with chronic migraines. And it's interesting that I've seen through this work, I've seen some emotional pathways that have led to my own migraines, which have been a long, long struggle, 35 years or so. And this work is not just about money. It's about our power. It's about our safety. It's about how we move in this life. And so my goal is, it's been for a long time to help people kind of clear some of the traumas, big and small, that they've had in their lives. And yeah, that's kind of where I see myself going, as I continue on this path. And I just really have a heart for clearing out those things that just keep us stuck in pain, mostly physical, emotional pain. Yeah, relationship pain. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So you can find me at wendylfisher.com, and my new website is just being built. So you may see a little sign that says under construction. We're working hard to get this up, but yeah, keep coming back. And I also have a YouTube channel, Wendy L. Fisher. And on Facebook, I have a group that you might want to visit. It's Growing Wellness with Wendy. So there's some places you can find me online.
Absolutely. And the L stands for love. Your middle name is Love.
It does. Yeah, Wendy Lynn. Wendy Lynn loves you.
Well, thank you so much. Leona, what do you see your business and your coaching taking on? I know you're a tapping into wealth coach trainee right now. You're taking on this new adventure, and you've always been a giver, a service provider, a direct care person. And just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with your time and who you are and who you want to be.
Thank you, Kathy. What I do with my time right now, I'm dedicating a large part of my time to the tapping into wellness work. I'm, I can beat myself up, but I'm not going to. So I'm glad I'm moving into it more and more, and I'm happy for that. That's a good landmark. That it's kind of taking me over.
Yeah,
so I'm clearly enjoying that.
I said the wealth is welling up.
Yes, I think so. It feels like it. Beyond that, I have a wonderful husband, and we have 2 Jack Russell Terriers that keep us pretty busy. And we have 3 grown male children and a lovely daughter-in-law and 2 great grandkids. Not great grandkids, but 2 great, wonderful grandsons. And beyond that, I do working direct care. I work 3rd shift, Friday through Sunday, with some pretty challenging situations. And I'm doing a lot of tapping there, actually, silently and conspicuously, to try and keep things at a healthy level energetically. And I forget the last question. I think there was another one.
Just where you
Oh,
want to
and my other passion, of course, is Nova Scotia. And what niche I see, there's a part of my heart that desperately wants to work with caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has to be some kind of, once I find a niche that's got money in it, then I start doing work, pro bono, so to speak, for that group, because it's just not, it doesn't pay well. So, but I don't know. I'm open to whatever serves the highest and best of myself and everybody else. And I'm just very happy to be on a path that feels very grounded and just so, yes, it's a challenge to learn and, do rote stuff and whatnot, but it's a very comfortable place despite the challenges. It's just no pressure. It doesn't feel like there's any of the pressure is internal, it's not external. And that's amazing. That's amazing. So thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Wendy.
So glad that you're here. So glad that you're here. Yes. And before we move to Kay, I just wanted to say I too have journeyed the care provider and the low paying jobs and the heart of the giver. And it's truly my belief that the world is abundant and that money moves in ways beyond our societal agreements. When we change our agreements, the money will move there as well, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. Thank you.
So thank you for your courage to move the energy in the direction of love and compassion and dignity for people. It does matter. It really matters. So thank you. Kay, let's move on to you. And you can share your business, your background, yourself. You have a background. Your headset static.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll do it that way. Yeah. I can also problem solve. That's also what I do.
You're good at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Problems to solve, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's so good to be here. Thank you. So this vow of invisibility that we did last week and the vow of perfection that we'll do this week, I think I'm just kind of coming into it and starting to come out, know what I want to do, come out in the world. So I've worked with coaches. I've worked with Margaret. I've worked in her, some of her rock star programs, and I'm doing that again this year, coaching people. And what I'm finding is I'm also taking women through a journey through the lower chakras to find out where we are, how we can clear, how we can better integrate. And I'm finding that's what I love the most right now. So I'm building another website, and it's not quite ready to talk about yet, but I'll soon come out and work on that marketing of how to keep attracting coaches and other people who want to go through that process of personal development, kind of open themselves up to having desires, knowing what they are, and actualizing them. So
Beautiful.
thank you.
Awesome work.
Exciting.
Work
Yeah.
that we definitely need in this world.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And marketing ultimately really is letting people know that you have something to offer. People get a little bit bogged down by the examples of our big corporations and the high-powered marketing gurus. But if you think of it in the basic marketing is just letting someone know you have something to offer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So thank you.
yeah. So you're doing it right now. We're all marketing right now in a way.
That's
Right?
right. Putting ourselves out there, just letting people know that we're here. Look at us, listen, we have some valuable things to say.
Yeah.
And we can help you. Yeah.
And the sale is the exchange, right? And it starts with self. We got to sell ourselves on ourselves. We got to sell ourselves on that we have something to offer. We got to buy into our own goodness. We got to buy into our own value. And that's part of what we're doing in the processes, because how those models and the approaches of all of those strategies, they're really wonderful and fun. I'm so delighted you're here. Let's ground. We'll take some deep breaths, and then we'll launch into some nice deep process. And if you don't already have paper and pen, get yourself settled. We'll just take some deep breaths. So, water. Breathe in nice and fully. And breathe out nice and slowly. Nice slow exhale. Breathe in nice and fully. Nice slow exhale. We're going to hold the breath for a count of 3 at the top. So breathe in fully. 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale. You got this. You got this.
We've got this.
Yeah.
We've got this. And what's really interesting about this vow we're going to work on today, I think it's something we've touched on a little bit here this morning, is that oftentimes we just strive and we work and we work and we work and we feel like we don't arrive. And that's just a reality for so many people. And it's been a reality in my life. And so this striving and never arriving is something we're going to deconstruct a little bit and see if we can clear that away. So, if we work hard and we get good at what we do, we can be an expert at what we do. Sometimes we ask this question, why aren't we getting the rewards, the pay, the recognition, the position, the credibility? What is it that's blocking that? Why have I worked so hard and I'm just not getting the rewards that I thought I should be getting by now? And so it's time to create a new story. It's time to create a success story, to reveal our brilliance and our excellence and our expertise, and it's time to be valued, right? It's like, speak for myself, but I'm not a spring chicken, and I've worked hard my whole life, and I don't feel like I've been rewarded for that, internally or externally. And so this process is going to help us change that. Like we said last week, we did some work on the vow of invisibility. And there's another negative vow that we can take. And these two vows sometimes play together, and they can be tricky to see, and they can kind of hard. But this one, it's like, I want to ask you a question. Do you hold yourself to a really high standard? Do you hold others to a really high standard? And the work that you do and how you live your life. Maybe you're someone who likes to master everything. Maybe you like to just keep learning and mastering things, and yet you're still not seeing the reward. So, how can we make this shift so that we can get paid well? And we all know that, in the self-development world, we're told, well, don't strive to be perfect. I always do that. I shouldn't try to be perfect. But I know I'm a perfectionist. I want things just so. And we do it anyways. So we know in this world of self-development, we shouldn't be going for perfection, but we do it anyways. There's some way it's serving us, right? It just works for me. I'm just going to make sure everything is done exactly the way I want it because it works for me. But am I getting ahead? Am I doing those bigger things that are going to propel me into a bigger place in life? Or am I holding myself back? What's going on with this? So this vow of perfection is really strong. And like I said, it can be sneaky and it can be playful with the vow of invisibility, and you can it's hard to see sometimes, but we're going to figure out how to do that. So it's our really deep inner critic that we've talked about before that comes into play here. So have you ever made a mistake in the past? You tried to do something, you've made a mistake, and you didn't, what you were trying to do wasn't as perfect as you want it to be. And then you said, I just can't forgive myself for it. Breathe that in. I should have done better. I could have changed this part of it. I could have said this instead of that. I should have done it sooner. I should have done it better. That's one way. And in that, in saying I should have done it better, and in saying it wasn't perfect, is there a part of that that you're saying to yourself, well, I deserve to be punished? I didn't do it well enough. I don't deserve the reward. I deserve to be punished. And there's another way our inner critic can see this vow. So any accomplishments could have been better. And we only look at the things that we missed or didn't do perfectly or didn't do right. So the other way our critic looks at this as, yeah, I just see the negative in myself. I don't see the positive, right? So where's the celebration in that? Where's the motivation to keep going and keep trying bigger and better things, or to get out of the comfort zone, right? So this is a mindset that oftentimes we develop over a long period of time. And it causes us to feel like we don't deserve, right? It causes us to feel like I didn't do it well enough, so I don't deserve the reward. I don't deserve to be paid well. I don't deserve recognition. It wasn't perfect. We're not perfect yet, so I don't deserve. When I'm not perfect, I don't deserve. And this is a huge downside to this vow, right? It's, I don't deserve until I get it right. So I'm just going to keep striving and striving and striving until I get it right. And when I get it right, then I will deserve to be paid well. Then I will deserve recognition. Then I will deserve reward, but not until then. And so when achieving perfection is impossible, we're never going to arrive. We're always going to strive, right? So it's this mindset of thinking that I won't deserve until I get it right, till I get it perfect. But in reality, perfection never comes. We're human, right? We're just human beings who are, wanting to make this world a better place. And if I have this vow of perfection, I'm not going to get there. Causes us to add pressure to ourselves. I put a lot of pressure on myself to make it perfect. My brother has a saying, he loves marketing stuff. He's saying, good is good enough. And I just bucked when I first heard that. I'm like, what? What do you mean good is good enough? Look at my hair, it's a mess, and I didn't say it right, and I didn't, whatever. And so this inner critic was really strong, and it still can be really strong. And so there's this connection, right, between the inner critic and this vow of perfection. Have you ever had a boss or a parent who had a standard that you couldn't live up to? I think we all have. My mom, bless her soul, she wanted the best for me. And I came home one day so excited. I was in high school and I said, Mom, I got a 98 on my geometry test. I was so excited and proud of myself. And her response was, well, you got one wrong. You could have gotten 100 really easily if you hadn't got that one wrong. Boy, was I deflated. Totally deflated. All my excitement and pride just was flushed down the toilet. And she didn't mean to do that. I know she didn't mean to do that, but that was the effect it had, right? So it created self-doubt and it created anxiety in me. And so taking action in the future, it's like, well, I don't need to strive to do really good anymore because it's never going to be good enough, right? So it really deflated me, and it really, there's other instances too, but it kept me stuck. It's something that so I can go and I can do the smaller tasks that I know I can do perfectly, right? But am I going to step out of my comfort zone and take on something that's bigger that I don't know I can do perfectly, right? So here I am today leading you through a process on a live YouTube channel that we're going to put out there in public, and there's a smile on my face and I'm really excited because I've worked through some of this, right? I've worked through some of this. I who did not want to be seen. There's a little mouse in the corner. Don't look at me. Don't listen to me. Yeah, this is powerful work. And so this vow of perfection can cause us to play small, can cause us to be stuck in what we want. We can't go beyond because it's not going to be perfect. So we're not stepping out of our comfort zone. And so what could we be doing? This video was one thing. We could be writing books. We could be creating products. If you have a business of your own, there's so many things that you could be doing. But do you have the ability to get past this vow of perfection and start doing those things? Marketing yourself. Hey, I have a YouTube channel. Come look at it. When my husband put my channel up on our TV one day, I was like, oh no. So I'm going to just do a little exercise with you, really quick visualization to see if this applies to you. But a lot of people will admit they have this vow of perfection, and it's easy. I was always say, yep, that's me. I have a vow. I'm a perfectionist. That's what I am. But so think about right now something that you have accomplished. Could be little, could be big, anything you've accomplished. It could be something recent. And when you think about it, does your mind go to some version of this? I just know I could have done it better. I should have done more. Why didn't I prepare more? That was me this morning. I'm not prepared enough for this. But does your mind go to some version of that when you have accomplished something? If you have those kinds of thoughts, you've got this perfectionism vow going on inside. right? And so we are starting to see that there really is a big connection between this vow of perfection and the inner critic.
I call it the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Exactly. The woulda, and yeah, how many identify with that? You know, the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
The piece that you touched on that's so important is that there is evidence in the world for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually programmed and trained. Like, your mother may not have meant to deflate you, but there are definitely places that are meant to deflate you. The message actually is, you're less than this. This is better. This is the standard. This is perfection, and that's the evidence. We're fed examples of this is the standard, and if you can't do that, why bother?
Right.
So
yeah, arriving at that imagined moment of perfection, right? It's elusive, and it is ingrained personally from family, from society. You're right. It is. We're trained that way. And tapping can clear this vow. So we're going to do some tapping. Does that sound good? And so we're going to clear this vow so we can achieve a place where we're going after things from choice instead of from this, oh, I could, I should, I gotta, then we can have a choice. Once we clear this, we can have a choice to say, you know what, I want to do this. I want to be on video, and I want to put it on YouTube, and I want to be seen, and I want to help people who have chronic migraines, or help people who, are caregivers and they just don't make much money, and that's something I can do.
And it frees up the ability to improve.
Yes.
It frees up the ability to grow, because it's not about saying, oh, I'll be a slob, or it's not about being accepting of your faults in the sense of I'll just be imperfect. It's about allowing the imperfect, perfect gap to move and shift and feel okay about the progress and the celebration. You can still strive to be the best you. You can still strive for a refined, beautiful product. But it's in the experience of growth that the satisfaction comes. It's in the experience of the movement of doing it and putting it out there that the reward comes. It's about seeing the evidence start coming in and growing and becoming momentum.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because I can hear in my own mind the criticism of, oh, what does this mean? Do you just get to be, are you just settling for being lame or inadequate? No, you're actually giving yourself space to be in the movement of the progress, of the joy of the growth.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting point, because it's not permission just to like, oh, whatever, but it's a motivation to say, you know what, I can be better, and I don't have to do it perfectly. I have freedom to go ahead and be myself imperfectly, because people are still going to love me. People are still going to respect me, right? But if I'm thinking I have to be perfect and no one's going to love and respect me unless I'm perfect, I'm not going to take those steps to move forward, right? And grow. So that's
it's the inner critic. Embracing and becoming more friendly with the inner critic versus tormented and afraid of that inner critic. The inner critic can become a friend.
It kind of goes back to the conversation we were having before we went to the recording, where I was talking about bringing someone into a circle of good energy that has challenged me for years. It's working with that shadow, finding a balance, finding the gift, finding the blessing of the shadow, and learning how to accept it as part of who we have been, and to some degree, perhaps, who we will continue to be. Because even after we learn to accept it and work with it, it's still going to be less a part of us, but it's still a part of us that brought us to all of the rest of it. Sorry. Not very eloquent, but I think you get my gist.
Yeah, no, that's there. Yeah, so let's take a step back, and I'm just going to have you think about something you have achieved, and I want you to identify the feeling that's there. So then we're going to do the tapping to start releasing this. So think about a moment in the past when you did something pretty well, maybe even great by other people's standards. But you still rehash it in your head, right? You still think about what happened there. How could it have been better? How could it have been more perfect? Most people have one, at least. So I just want you to even close your eyes if you want to just think about something that you've done well. And what's coming up in your mind? Is that inner critic speaking to you? Should have worked harder. Should have done better. Should have been smarter, or more prepared. I should have looked more confident. Anyone want to share what came up for them? What did that inner critic say?
So mine is a little bit more lifestyle over a long period of years.
Mm.
And it's comparative. So it's what other people say is the right thing or the perfect thing. And so I look at that and I don't measure up. So I haven't looked at myself to say, what do you want?
Okay.
And so it's more comparative, that I'm not perfect in what I see other people's perfection.
Yeah. That's really awesome. Really an interesting insight, because it's me too.
It's really interesting. Particularly around the like wealth. There's a lot of programs out there that are like, imagine the mansion, imagine the Rolls Royce, imagine this as the standard of wealth. Mm-hmm. And in my world, it's being able to go to the health food store and buy what I really want and really need. Like my standard of what would make me feel and have real wealth is not the Rolls Royce, but being okay with what my ideal actually is. Mm-hmm. It gets triggered. The criticism gets triggered, like, oh, am I not shooting high enough if I don't want a Rolls Royce?
Exactly.
And it sucks energy out of my system. It sucks energy out of my passion for serving the people that I want to serve, for using money in the way that I want to use money. Because I criticize, oh, should I want manicures and pedicures and, salon style hair? Because that's the standard of perfection.
Mm-hmm. We all have our idea, there's that idea that's out there, like you're saying, Kathy, the Rolls Royce and the mansion. I want a castle on a hill over the lake, and I want, but then there's what does richness really mean to me? You know, and part of that can be respecting and treating other people well. You know, richness is not just about money, right? It's a metaphor. So, okay.
Compassion.
Compassion.
Mm.
Yeah.
Compassion starts coming in.
Yeah. All right, shall we do some tapping?
Yes, please.
Awesome. You can just start wherever you like to start. Go through your own, things, and just repeat after me, please. So, there I am.
There I am.
I guess I did okay,
I guess I did okay,
but it was not my best.
but it was absolutely not my best.
It was not the best.
It was not the best.
I should have done better.
I should have done better.
Should have, should have, should have.
Should have.
And I'm right about that.
And I'm right about that.
Always right about that.
Always right about that.
I could have and should have.
I could have and should have.
Worked harder.
Worked harder.
Prepared more.
Prepared more.
Been more confident.
And more confident.
Compared less.
Compared less.
I should have been better at this by now.
I should have been better at this by now.
I should have been perfect.
I should have been perfect.
And it wasn't perfect.
And it wasn't perfect.
I should have been perfect.
I should have been perfect.
I should have pushed myself even harder.
I should have pushed myself even harder.
And now it's too late.
And now it's too late.
Everyone saw me flawed
Everyone saw me flawed.
and less than the best.
And less than the best.
And that's just unacceptable for me.
And that's just unacceptable for me.
I should have been better.
I should have been better.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
There's no room for human mistakes.
There's no room for human mistakes.
No room for compassion.
No room for compassion.
And I deserve this indictment.
And I deserve this indictment.
Just not good enough.
Just not good enough.
I have a very high standard for myself.
Very high standard for myself.
And I'm proud of that.
I'm proud of that.
Why would I want to change that?
Why would I want to change that?
I don't want to be a slacker.
I don't want to be a slacker.
This inner critical voice is really working for me.
This inner critical voice is really working for me.
I take a really deep breath and look back at that story. I should have done better. I should have been better. And see how those statements feel now. Is it any lighter? Is it heavier? It could be either. And this type of tapping often takes a lot more work to really clear. Because it's true. It's absolutely true that we always could have done better. There's always a way to improve, right? The question is, are you feeling a more balanced perspective? Right? Can you see that the imperfection, maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. Maybe I don't have to live up to my mom's standards anymore. That perceived standard. I mean, she actually said that to me, wanting my higher good. But do I have to keep that as a standard in myself? Do you still have that dropping things? I'm not good enough, or is it lighter?
Mine's worse.
It's worse.
Mine's worse. I always go up after the first.
So my recommendation when it's worse, we don't have time to do it now, but to go back and do the tapping. Do it again, do it again. Keep doing this tapping until it really comes down and you can clear it, because you can clear it. That's the hope and the joy of this work, is that you can. And it takes the work. It takes that work. But go ahead and clear it. Because the one reason why this is a little bit harder to clear is that it's not just a feeling, it's a pattern of thinking. Tapping works really well with feelings, right? And this pattern of thinking is just going to take a little more work. And again, we can see that connection between this vow of perfection and our inner critic. And it also is connected to our ability to receive. Right? How can I receive if I'm imperfect? I made this mistake. I wasn't perfect. I didn't do it right. I wasn't good enough. How can I receive reward? Take a deep breath. So breaking this vow allows us to declare that we are worthy to receive, that we are worthy, that we're deserving, and it opens up our ability to receive, whether it's praise, whether it's money, whether it's validation, whatever those things are that we need to receive, that we've not been receiving because we haven't been perfect. So instead of always striving and never arriving, we're getting to a place where we don't have to arrive. We're in process. We're imperfect, and that's okay. It's okay that I didn't say it exactly this way, or it's okay that I didn't do it the way somebody else did it. They did it much better, but it's okay now, because I don't have to be perfect. Good is good enough, right? And we do get better as we go, right? We do get better as we go. So we're going to do another round of tapping. Yeah, Kathy? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was really helpful that you drew out the pattern of thinking part again for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I love the thinking.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why it gets gripped as a harder pattern, is because how much I love to think. So leaning into that, rethinking the pattern of perfection helps me.
Helps you. Okay. Good.
You know, when you frame it around good is good enough. The word perfection, I like to rethink that word in a big, like, universal perfection, like nature is perfect. The flow of harmony in life's movement is got a big perfection to it. It's not all done either. So there's perfection in the imperfection.
I think about nature, there's perfection in there, but it is not all perfect, right? There's trees and animals that are deformed, and, but nature itself is, we see it as perfect, and there's perfection in there. There's beauty, there's intricacy, it's an amazing place to look. And I love being out in nature, but there are imperfections in there, and that's okay. God, the universe has made it that way, and it's how it is right now.
And in some instances, it adds to the beauty.
Absolutely.
Right? And we went for a hike in Nova Scotia a number of years ago, and we found this tree. It was two trees, but it had grown just so far, and then it had come together as one tree, and it was just amazing. How, that's not a normal occurrence, but it was awesome. So.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
think it's
again,
true for us too, that in our perfection there's beauty.
Right.
That's-
So who told you that? So nature, if we say nature is not perfect, and perfect is a tricky word,
it is.
where did we learn that? Where did we learn? And you just made that example that 100% getting all the answers right is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so? It is so. I get that. But that's the conflict, the question that I bump up against is that's somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
my opinion on that is that it comes from the puritanical mindset of Western Europe when they came and settled this country. And maybe I'm wrong, but I see that as a very, you think about the religious beliefs of the Puritans, where nothing was really appreciated. It was all very stark and bleak, and the rules very stringent.
Or sameness, like sameness as
Sameness, absolutely, yeah.
or exact symmetry being considered perfect versus asymmetrical. These are nuances, and they get to be kind of an intellectual thinking pattern. But when it comes down into our body response, our stress response, our willingness to give our gifts, that's where it makes a real difference in our life, in our experience. Oh, it's not 100%. It's not pure enough. It's not symmetrical. It's not. That's where we stop ourselves from feeling okay now. Good is good enough now. It's the inner dialogue of I'm okay that gets snuffed out. I'm not worthy yet because I'm not perfect. That's why we need to do this work. That's why it's so important. It's not so that we think more about the nuances of perfection. It's actually so we can feel freed up in our body system to give our gifts and to relax, because that's the receptive mode. That's where we receive, where we can feel the love that comes to us. People, it's not about things being different, because if you've got going on in your thinking pattern, I'm not perfect, I'm not able to receive, and someone gives you a compliment, it's going to bounce off of you. But if you have in your mind, I'm okay, good is good enough, and someone gives you a compliment, you see it, you feel it, you receive it.
And I think nature being imperfect has given me permission to accept my imperfection more. That, nature, we think, there's this standard out there that we can think of nature as perfect, and yet it's not. And I'm okay. I'm part of nature, right? I was created like nature was created, and I'm not perfect. So if nature isn't, maybe it's okay for me to be. That's kind of how I've looked at that. And I love being out in nature. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, thank you for that additional discussion piece. I know we're moving on to another round of tapping and wrapping up. So
yes, we are.
Really valuable. So.
It is. It is, because there's questions that come up in our minds, and they're worthy to be pursued and discussed. And my imperfection as a student would keep me from asking questions. My wanting to be perfect would keep me from asking questions, and that's a real handicap. So, yeah, accepting our imperfection is I think, really important. So are we ready to put some positive in here? And again, I will encourage you to go back and do any of the tapping that is going to keep you, going to propel you forward. So take a deep breath. And we'll just start tapping. So there I was. I did that thing pretty well.
I did that pretty well.
And I'm open to seeing that I did it pretty well.
And I'm open to seeing that I did it pretty well.
I did better than most may have.
I did better than most may have.
Yes, I can improve.
Yes, I can improve.
And I love being and doing the best.
And I love doing and being the best.
But I never really let myself.
But I never really let myself.
I don't let myself celebrate when I do well, when I do great.
I don't let myself celebrate when I do well, when I do great.
I downplay it.
I downplay it.
Why would I celebrate?
Why would I celebrate?
There's time for celebrating when I'm perfect.
Time for celebrating when I'm perfect.
Wow, that's really harsh.
Wow, that's really harsh.
Because there really is no perfect.
Because there really is no perfect.
And I just stay stuck, striving for it.
And I just stay stuck, striving for it.
And I don't get to celebrate.
And I don't get to celebrate.
Don't get to feel complete.
Don't get to feel complete.
And I don't allow myself to be rewarded for my awesomeness.
And I don't allow myself to be rewarded for my awesomeness.
And I honor myself now.
And I honor myself now.
I actually did the best I knew how at the time.
I actually did the best I knew how at the time.
I actually did really great.
I actually did really great.
And I'm open to giving myself that gift.
And I'm open to giving myself that gift.
And feeling my deserving on a deep level.
And feeling my deserving on a deep level.
I totally honor that I've always been doing my best.
I totally honor that I've always been doing my best.
I've really never not deserved.
I really never not deserved.
And I honor my deserving right now.
And I honor my deserving right now.
Even before I lift another finger and achieve another thing.
Even before I lift another finger or achieve another thing.
I deserve right now.
I deserve right now.
I'm opening my heart to deserving.
I'm opening my heart to deserve.
Of course I deserve.
Of course I deserve.
I deserve money and love and attention.
I deserve money and love and attention.
I deserve wealth and security.
I deserve wealth and security.
And I deserve to be seen as the expert I am.
And I deserve to be seen as the expert I am.
I deserve to have a blast being awesome.
I deserve to have a blast being awesome.
It's really fun to be awesome.
It's really fun to be awesome.
And I'm now open to forgiving and releasing this vow of perfection.
I'm now open to forgiving and releasing this vow of perfection.
I've paid the price for it for too long.
I've paid the price for it for too long.
I'm open to healing it.
I'm open to healing it.
So that I can have fun being awesome.
So I can have fun being awesome.
Striving to reach my high standards.
Striving to reach my high standards.
And for the joy of mastery and achievement.
For the joy of mastery and achievement.
Because that's the way I roll.
Because that's the way I roll.
And I do deserve to honor this.
And I do deserve to honor this.
I am so proud of myself.
I am so proud of myself.
And how much I do deserve right now.
And how much I do deserve right now.
Take a deep breath. And just notice how you're feeling. You could be feeling a sense of freedom and excitement and feeling like you're more ready to take action. You could be feeling like you just want to cry a bucket of tears. You know, there's sometimes, you know, when there's a break in the belief that I'm not good enough, you know, it can be a relief. You know, so however you're feeling is right. It's what you should be feeling. And we're just going to take a moment to honor that. And know that as we clear this vow, we will step more into our awesomeness. We'll step more into our deserving. We'll step more into our ability to move forward without being perfect, but with, you know, that sense of good is good enough. And you know what? I am good enough. I'm good enough to receive. Breathe it in. Anybody want to share what's happened with this today, or any thoughts? Any need to continue? Yeah.
I just really appreciate you, Wendy. I know I say it, and it's my joy to continue saying it. I think this piece of the human condition, soothing it, moving it into a more compassionate place for each of us as individuals is such a gift. But I think about the collective and how many gifts there are to be given, how much love there is to be exchanged. That in moving this energy, just how we can make more and more heaven on earth, you know, more quality of relationships and distribution of resources and production of resources.
Yeah, thank you. And when you said that, you know, I always say thank you, Wendy, and I'm glad you're here. And it's like getting easier to receive that. It really is. So thank you for you know, just for so much that you contribute. You know, I'm really appreciative of you also, and for each of you for being here. For anybody who's
four
listening.
of us are feathering a nest. We're feathering a nest. That's super important. And it's not just for the four of us, it's for the people that we will connect with over time and who are also regular people.
Yeah.
Average women that make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. Not everyone is meant to be Madonna, although she is one of my favorites. Right? But not everyone has their place and their gifts. And the more we can receive the value of our own goodness, the better off everyone really is.
So it's that shining your light so that others can shine.
Yeah. Receptivity is so important.
It is. It is, and it feels good to get out of that stuck place where it's like, I can't receive, and just start receiving. It's a liberating feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Magical in a way.
Awesome. So thank you all for for doing this process with me this morning with us. And, I hope that, it has benefits that will continue on as long as you live, that clearing these stuck places is only going to help us to shine more. So, and send ripples out. So thank you for your hearts and your willingness to do this work.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Absolutely. It's a big win and a victory to show up, do our work, and then look for the additional wins. Look for how this makes a difference moving forward. Yeah. Next week, we're moving into some processes around deservedness and receiving, a little more specifically on those parts of the inner critic, right?
Yep. Working more on that worthy and deserving, how we process that or don't process that.
Yeah. Because it's an unpacking and untangling process. That inner critic, without being a friend, when it's just a brutal coach, an inner voice that will never ever let you be anything but on its line. Once you start befriending that, it doesn't go away. It's part of what keeps us safe. It's part of what keeps us surviving. But the more we sort of say, oh, this is what it says in this situation, and those plays and those sort of peekaboos, the more you can familiarize yourself, oh, this is where perfection is. This is where my resistance to receiving is. It becomes more of a game in a way, like, oh, there you are, my not opponent necessarily, not at odds, but my match mate that's playing this game of thriving. You put that inner critic on task to thrive, it becomes much more of a useful component versus an opponent and a drag to your success and your fulfillment. Fulfillment is a piece of our life experience that we're really striving for. So before we wrap up, does anyone want to say any particular takeaways, any promises for the week that they want to be like, oh, I'm taking this and I'm applying what I now know good is good enough on this or that particular piece of your projects or professional life, or any little share before we go, Fiona?
I think I can take that into my work with the dialogue or the script for this course. I get really balled up and, okay, what's the takeaway in this stuff? What do I really need to bring forward to the person I'm going to coach? And what is, good for me to know, but doesn't have to be brought forward in this to help them get their ahas and their shifts. It's a challenge to be able to sift through Margaret's work. But it's good. I mean, it's all good. It's all part of it, right?
Right, and it's a lot at first because you're doing your own work, and then you're helping others to start doing the work, and then if you have these vows mixed in there, and you don't see it all at first. So once we see them and start clearing them, then it all becomes clearer.
Yeah.
And that clarity is a gift.
Yeah. And getting the energy to smooth out and flow without the blocks, without those reservations, without the monkey mind, and the fixed behaviors that come from all of that. Yes, thank you.
And for being here. Such a pleasure to see you in our Zoom room. Kay, you want to say anything before we sign off? Or you?
Yeah. So I can look at this imperfection and come into feeling imperfection and working with that and accepting that it's kind of like overall, and it's a good feeling, comfortable, cozy. And yet what came up was I have a client who I feel I am failing with. I'm not good enough. I'm not perfect. It's me, right? I have that agenda that they said this is what they want from these sessions, and it's not happening, and it's my fault, and I'm not perfect. But what I'm getting through this is, so showing up, which is the coming through invisibility, and also reaching out for help. So to reach out to another coach and say, you know what, I don't know. I don't have this. I'm lost. I can't see what to do. And so instead of staying in that I'm not perfect and beating myself up and it's me and shameful, coming through this and reaching out and saying, man, here's the situation. Will you help me? Because that's what it's about. It's about community. It's about helping each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfection is shame.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Overcoming that. Yeah. So that's my, for the week, that's my, go find somebody.
So
yeah. Thank you.
I'm not perfect, so I can't reach out has become, I am imperfect and I can reach out.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what
Great.
that makes for is a pathway to fulfillment, not fulfill the deliverability on the result that you promised your client, but fulfillment in the experience of being the one to deliver it. Because as long as you're in that I'm imperfect, I can't do this, can't do it alone, and I have to do it alone, there's no space for that receptivity of the answer, the receptivity of the result that you're going for. And it gets balled up in arrival versus that journey, that reaching out and finding the joy in the persistence in the process. It's very different energy, very different emotion, very different inner dialogue, and a very different body response to our circumstance. So that's really amazing and wonderful. Your client's going to get what they want because you're doing the work.
That's right. You're doing your work. They're going to get what they need.
Oh,
Yes.
gosh. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm imperfect.
There's ripples going out.
Yes. Oh,
Right.
well, ladies, I really appreciate this Friday group coaching and mastermind call. We'll be back here next Friday working on some more stuff. And until then, blessings and be well. Bye for now.
Bye.